Asterisk solitude is strategy, not retreat. It's where plans are drawn, strengths are cultivated, and weaknesses are confronted. Growth is found in stillness. The noise of the world distracts, but clarity emerges in quiet reflection. If you're still drowning in the noise, still clinging to comfort, still fearing the silence, then you're already losing. But if you're ready to embrace solitude, to recalibrate your purpose, and to forge your greatness, then this is for you. Welcome to the silence, asterisk. The world around you screams for noise, distractions, company, constant chatter, but real power is found in the opposite place, deep, relentless solitude. This is no place for the faint-hearted. It is where the blueprint of your future is sketched in the darkness, far from the eyes of the world. Plans are not born from fleeting moments or hollow applause. They are forged in the stillness where your mind sharpens, where your weaknesses stare back at you without mercy. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the battlefield where strength is carved with brutal honesty. The weak run from it, confusing isolation for abandonment. They seek crowds to numb their fears, to escape the weight of their own minds. But the strong, they understand that solitude is the ultimate strategy, not retreat. It is the crucible that refines warriors, the silent mentor that forces you to face every lie you tell yourself, every excuse you hide behind. When you embrace solitude, you embrace truth. You strip away the masks, the distractions, the comfort of easy company, and meet yourself head-on. In that solitude, plans become relentless, focus sharpens into a weapon, and resolve hardens like steel at a raging fire. To rise above the mediocrity, to crush the complacency that drags so many down, you must master solitude. You must learn to sit alone with your fears until they surrender. You must learn to build your empire in the quiet hours when no one watches, no one believes, no one cheers. Because power is not handed out in crowds, it's earned in silence, in sweat, in the cold void where only the strongest survive. Solitude is the forge of greatness. It is the arena where you fight your demons and claim your victory. Those who shy away from it remain weak, trapped in the noise of the world, forever chasing approval, forever shackled by fear. But you, if you dare to stand alone, if you dare to embrace the quiet, will wield solitude as your greatest weapon. It is not retreat. It is your war strategy. It is the path to dominance. The world may not understand your silence, but that's their weakness, not yours. In solitude, you rise. In solitude, you conquer. In solitude, you become unstoppable. The world screams, blaring with distractions designed to drown your focus, endless noise flooding your senses, pulling you in 1,000 directions at once. But real clarity, the kind that carves legends out of mere mortals, does not come from chaos. It emerges in the ruthless silence of reflection. Growth is not forged in the noise of hollow movement or mindless activity. It is found in the cold, sharp stillness where your soul dares to face itself without escape. The weak mistake noise for progress, chasing every fleeting distraction, mistaking busyness for purpose. They spin in circles, exhausted and empty, their minds cluttered with pointless chatter that buries their true potential. But the strong, they know the truth. Noise is the enemy of greatness. It clouds judgment, numbs insight, and shackles the mind in perpetual confusion. To rise above, to break free from the mediocrity that clings to the masses, you must learn to embrace stillness. You must carve out space in the storm, retreat into the quiet trenches where your real work begins. Stillness is not weakness. It is the battlefield where clarity sharpens into a weapon, where every fragmented thought is gathered and shaped into unbreakable resolve. It is where you dismantle every excuse, every fear, and every lie you once believed. In that stillness, growth becomes inevitable, relentless, unstoppable. This is the hidden path that the world ignores, blinded by noise, comfort, and shallow distractions. If you want to rise, you must learn to wield stillness like a sword. You must sit with your thoughts, stare down your demons, and allow the silence to strip away everything unnecessary until only your true purpose remains. Because growth does not roar at whispers. It waits patiently in the quiet, ready to consume those brave enough to seek it. The noise of the world will try to pull you back, but you will stand unmoved, rooted in the power of stillness. And from that stillness, you will rise stronger, sharper, and far beyond anything the world ever dared to expect. Alone, completely alone, you shed every mask the world has forced upon you, every shallow distraction that numbs your fire, every comforting lie whispered in the noise of crowds. In this brutal solitude, there is no escape, no pretense, no one to deceive but yourself. It is here, stripped bare, that you confront the raw, untamed ambition burning deep within your core. This is the moment of recalibration where your purpose is laid bare, sharpened, and set ablaze anew. The weak flinch at this solitude, mistaking it for loneliness, a cold prison built from isolation and fear. They run back to the crowd, desperate for validation, terrified of facing their true selves. But the strong, the relentless, know better. They recognize that solitude is not a punishment. It is the greatest source of power. It is the battlefield where your scattered will is reforged into an unbreakable weapon. It is the silent command center where your purpose realigns, where every fractured dream is pieced back together with ruthless clarity. If you want to rise, to ascend beyond the masses who cling to noise and distraction, you must embrace solitude not as retreat, but as an act of war. Because solitude is the recalibration of purpose itself. It forces you to purge weakness, to sharpen your vision, to reignite the fire that others have long forgotten how to kindle. In that emptiness, you become whole. In that emptiness, you become unstoppable. Alone is not where you wither. Alone is where you are reborn stronger, sharper, hungrier than ever before. Society trembles in the shadow of those who have mastered solitude because they become untouchable like silent predators stalking the depths where others fear to tread. They are weapons forged in isolation, honed to pierce the heart of mediocrity with ruthless precision. The masses fear what they cannot control, what they cannot dilute with noise or distractions. They cling to their illusions, telling themselves solitude is loneliness, a punishment for the broken, the lost, the weak. But the strong, they know the truth buried deep beneath that silence. Solitude is not loneliness, it is raw, unyielding power. It is the crucible where the ordinary is melted down and reforged into something far beyond the reach of the average soul. It is the secret weapon that shreds complacency, the fire that burns away the chains of mediocrity and weakness. Those who wield solitude don't seek approval or applause. They don't chase the fleeting comforts of society's shallow embrace. They stand alone because they have risen above the noise, the distractions, the shallowhood. If you want to rise, if you want to break free from the pack, you must embrace solitude not as a curse, but as your greatest weapon. Because in solitude, you find the power to silence the world's doubts, to sharpen your mind into a blade that cuts through weakness. Solitude is the battlefield where greatness is claimed, where mediocrity is crushed beneath the weight of your will. It is the weapon you must master if you ever intend to rise, and once you do, you become untouchable, unstoppable, unbreakable. Solitude is the relentless fuel driving the climb from the dim trenches of mere survival to the towering peaks of self-actualization and even beyond into realms where legends dwell. Imagine Maslow's hierarchy not as a gentle ladder, but a brutal battlefield, where every step upward demands sacrifice, grit, and a refusal to settle for less. The weak cower at solitude, mistaking it for loneliness, a barren wasteland of emptiness and despair. They scramble for distractions, for fleeting comfort, desperate to escape the silence that threatens to expose their hollow cores. But the strong, the unyielding, know better. They understand that solitude is the forge that tempers the soul, the fire that fuels the ascent beyond primal needs, beyond fleeting desires, beyond the suffocating crowd. It is in solitude that the surface cracks, revealing the raw, unfiltered self beneath the self capable of true greatness. Solitude is not an enemy, it is the ultimate ally, the crucible where survival transforms into mastery, where the spirit awakens to its full, terrifying power. If you want to rise, really rise, you must embrace solitude. Not as punishment or exile, but as the very essence of transformation. Because solitude fuels the ascent from mere survival to self-actualization and beyond. It strips away the dead weight of conformity, strips away distractions, and leaves you face to face with your true purpose. And once you harness that power, once you let solitude consume you, there is no limit to how high you can climb. No ceiling to your growth. No boundary to your strength. In solitude, you become more than human. You become unstoppable. True fulfillment is not handed out like a prize to the comfortable. It is wrested from the unforgiving grip of relentless effort, hammered out in the furnace of pain and sacrifice. Comfort is the graveyard where dreams go to die, a velvet trap that lulls the weak into a slow decay. But struggle real, unrelenting struggle is the forge where greatness is born. It is the fire that melts the weak, burning away every trace of weakness, every excuse, every doubt. The weak recoil at struggle, terrified of pain, desperate to avoid hardship, believing it to be the enemy standing between them and their desires. They choose ease over effort, illusion over truth, and fade into the background of mediocrity. But the strong, they know struggle is not their foe, it is their fiercest ally. It is the brutal path that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Every bruise, every failure, every agonizing moment on that path is a stroke shaping their legacy. If you want to rise, to break free from the chains of mediocrity, you must embrace struggle, not shy away from it. Because struggle is the forge of greatness. It is the crucible that transforms pain into power, failure into wisdom, and weakness into unshakable strength. Without struggle, there is no victory. Without struggle, there is no rise. Embrace it, not own it. Let it burn through your veins until only greatness remains. Only then will you stand unbreakable, unstoppable, and truly alive. Comfort is a cunning deceiver, a serpent whispering sweet lies to the mind, lulling it into a soft, suffocating complacency. It wraps you in warm chains, numbing the fire that burns within, convincing you that ease is the summit, the final destination. But comfort is a liar poison that dulls ambition and buries potential beneath layers of apathy. It seduces the weak into surrender, telling them that peace means success, that rest means victory, while slowly dragging their souls into oblivion. The weak believe comfort is the goal, a safe harbor where dreams can quietly wither. They trade their hunger for a fleeting sense of security, blind to the cage they build around themselves. But the strong, the relentless warriors of destiny, see comfort for what it truly is, the enemy of greatness. They know that true transformation is born not from ease, but from effort relentless, painful, unyielding effort that shatters the illusion of safety and pushes beyond every limit. If you want to rise, really rise, you must reject comfort with every fiber of your being. You must tear through its deceitful embrace and ignite the fire of transformation through sheer will and brutal action. Because comfort is a lie, a mask that hides mediocrity behind a veil of false peace. Only when you abandon comfort do you awaken the savage within, the unstoppable force destined to conquer and ascend beyond the ordinary. Reject comfort, embrace struggle, and become the relentless force the world fears. Every moment of perseverance, whether as a violinist honing a single note until it cuts through silence like a blade, or an athlete driving their body beyond breaking stands, is a fierce declaration of life itself. Each struggle is more than just hardship. It's a defiant roar against the void, a statement that you refuse to fade into nothingness. It is in struggle that you prove your existence, your will to fight, your refusal to surrender to the indifferent cruelty of the world. The weak see struggle as an enemy, a burden to avoid at all costs, a sign they are failing. They shrink from pain, run from challenge, and settle for the comfort of complacency. But the strong know better. They understand that struggle is not just an obstacle, but the very path to greatness, the crucible where character is forged, where weakness is burned away, and where the soul is tempered into something unbreakable. If you want to rise, truly rise above the masses choking on comfort and fear, you must embrace struggle. Because every struggle is a declaration of existence, a battle cry that says, I am here. I will fight. I will become more. In every ache, every setback, every moment you choose to stand tall rather than fall, you claim your place among the warriors of life. You prove that you are not just surviving, you are alive, fierce, and unstoppable. Growth doesn't lie in flawless execution or polished perfection. It lives in the raw, brutal act of pushing past limits, breaking through walls built by fear and doubt. Perfection is a mirage, a comforting lie spun by the weak to hide their fear of failure and change. The weak cling to the illusion that every step must be flawless, that every move must be without fault, paralyzed by the terror of imperfection. But the strong, the warriors forged in relentless fire, understand that perfection is a dead end, a trap that suffocates progress and kills ambition. True greatness is found in evolution, in the messy, painful, relentless process of becoming more than you were yesterday. It's in the scars earned from pushing beyond what was thought possible, in the lessons carved from mistakes, in the refusal to settle for anything less than growth. Evolution is the path that turns weakness into strength, hesitation into action, and dreams into reality. If you want to rise, really rise, you must stop chasing perfection and start embracing evolution. You must welcome every failure, every flaw, every setback as a necessary step on the climb. Because perfection is not the goal, evolution is. And in that relentless evolution, you find your power, your purpose, your unstoppable rise beyond the limits set by others and by yourself. Every drop of sweat that drips from your brow is a testament to defiant proof that you refuse to settle for mediocrity, that you will not be ordinary in a world designed to manufacture conformity. Sweat is not just moisture. It is the currency paid in the blood, the fire, and the relentless grind of those who chase greatness with unyielding hunger. The weak sit back, waiting for greatness to be handed to them like a gift, believing success is something you stumble upon by chance or luck. They mistake comfort for reward and ease for achievement. But the strong know the brutal truth: greatness is not given. It is earned, hammered out in the furnace of sweat, pain, and relentless effort. It is a price paid by those who refuse to quit, who push past every limit, who turn their bodies and minds into weapons of relentless will. Every drop of sweat is a deposit into the account of your legacy, each one a reminder that greatness demands sacrifice. If you want to rise, truly rise, you must embrace sweat. You must walk willingly into the fire of effort, letting every ounce of sweat seal your commitment to becoming more than the crowd. Because sweat is the currency of greatness, and only those willing to pay that price will ever claim the throne at the top. Solitude strips away the noise, the chatter, the shallow cravings that cling to your mind like chains, leaving behind only what truly matters: the relentless, unyielding work that carves greatness out of chaos. Distraction is the silent assassin lurking in the shadows, the slow poison that kills potential one wasted moment at a time. The weak dismiss distraction as harmless, a fleeting escape from the grind, blind to the way it fractures focus, steals ambition, and buries dreams beneath layers of meaningless noise. But the strong know better. They recognize distraction for the enemy. It is an invisible predator that devours time, energy, and resolve. It is the trap that keeps you stuck in mediocrity, the fog that clouds your vision and weakens your will. To rise above the rest, to shatter limits and claim your place at the summit, you must ruthlessly reject distraction. You must silence every whisper that tempts you away from your mission, every urge that pulls you from the path of relentless work. Because distraction is the killer of potential. It steals what could be greatness and leaves behind only regret. A fight for your future demands total focus and unwavering commitment to the work that matters. In solitude, you find that clarity. In solitude, you find the power to destroy distraction and unleash the full force of your potential. Only then will you rise unshaken, unstoppable, and beyond reach. When you dive deep into solitude, hours no longer tick away as empty seconds. They stretch, elongate, becoming vessels of ruthless focus and unbreakable will. Time itself bends and folds around the disciplined mind, a servant to your intent, yielding only to those who demand mastery over it. The weak see time as their enemy, a relentless, unforgiving force slipping through their fingers, a constant reminder of their limits and failures. They waste it, squander it. Let it slip away amidst distractions and excuses, but the strong see time for what it truly is: a weapon, a tool forged to their purpose. They bend it, shape it, command it through discipline so absolute it becomes their ally in the war for greatness. Discipline is the iron grip that seizes every moment. Refusing to let it be stolen or wasted is the heartbeat that drives relentless progress. The force that transforms fleeting hours into unstoppable momentum. If you want to rise, if you want to break free from the chains of mediocrity, you must embrace discipline. You must become a master of your own time, bending it to your will through relentless focus and unshakable resolve. Because time bends only to the disciplined mind, and in that bending lies the power to rise, to conquer, and to become more than anyone ever thought possible. Flow is that rare, electric state where thought and action fuse into one seamless force, where hesitation dies and every movement becomes a strike of pure intent. It is transcendence. A realm beyond ordinary existence where you move not by chance, but by discipline sharpened to a razor's edge. The weak mistake flow for a fleeting gift, a stroke of luck handed down by fate, something beyond their reach and control. They wait for it to find them, hoping for moments of effortless grace while drowning in distraction and inconsistency. But the strong know the truth: flow is earned, carved out through relentless discipline and unwavering commitment. It is the product of countless hours spent mastering your craft, of the refusal to settle for mediocrity, of the brutal grind that sharpens your mind and body into perfect harmony. Flow is not given, it is taken, seized by those willing to bleed for it, to push past limits until the boundaries between thought and action disappear. If you want to rise, to move beyond ordinary, you must embrace flow. You must forge discipline so fierce that flow becomes your natural state, your weapon against hesitation and doubt. Because flow is transcendence, the gateway to greatness, where you become unstoppable, unbreakable, and untouchable. To master flow is to master yourself, and in that mastery, you rise above all. In the raw, unyielding silence of solitude, true thinkers strip away the chains of convention, tearing apart the fragile illusions the world clings to and forging a new reality from the wreckage. Freed from the noise and distraction, the mind sheds its shackles, breaking free from the cages built by fear, doubt, and conformity. What remains is not weakness, but power, a weapon forged in the crucible of isolation and clarity. The weak see the mind as a cage, a prison trapping them in limited thoughts and self-imposed boundaries. They accept the small, safe world handed to them, never daring to break free from the rules that bind them. But the strong know better. They understand that the mind, once unshackled, becomes the deadliest weapon they possess, capable of dismantling lies, shattering limits, and redefining the very fabric of reality. If you want to rise, if you want to escape the herd and carve your own path, you must unshackle your mind, tear down the walls built by society, by fear, by complacency. Because the mind left unshackled is not a cage, it is a weapon, sharp, relentless, and unstoppable. In that freedom lies the power to rise beyond all boundaries and become something greater than anyone ever imagined. The boldest ideas, the fiercest revolutions, are forged in the deep silence where noise fades and raw clarity reigns. In that quiet, the impossible sheds its mask of fear and reveals itself as nothing more than a challenge, a brutal, unforgiving gauntlet daring you to step up and conquer. The weak tremble before the impossible, convinced it is an enemy too vast to face, a barrier insurmountable and final. They retreat, hiding behind excuses, surrendering to the limits imposed by doubt and fear. But the strong see the impossible for what it truly is. The crucible of greatness is the battlefield where dreams are tested and forged into legends. The impossible is not a wall, but a door, waiting to be kicked down by relentless will and unbreakable resolve. Is the mountain that, once climbed, reveals vistas unseen by those who never dared to try. If you want to rise, really rise, you must embrace the impossible. You must stare it down and welcome it as the path to greatness. Because the impossible is not your enemy, it is the ultimate challenge waiting to be overcome. The fiery trial through which only the strongest pass. Embrace it, conquer it, and become the force that turns impossibility into history. Solitude is strategy, not retreat. Growth is found in stillness, recalibration of purpose, a weapon against mediocrity. Maslow's hierarchy is a battlefield. Struggle is the forge of greatness. Comfort is a lie. Every struggle is a declaration of existence. Perfection is not the goal. Evolution is. Sweat is the currency of greatness. Distraction is the killer of potential. Time bends to the disciplined mind. Flow is transcendence. The mind left unshackled becomes a weapon. The impossible is merely a challenge waiting to be overcome, if you're ready to embrace solitude, to recalibrate your purpose. And to forge your greatness then, this is your moment. The art of solitude is waiting. Master it. And rise. Asterisk if this resonated with you. If you're ready to stop drowning in the noise and start embracing the silence, then hit that subscribe button. This is just the beginning. The journey to greatness is long, but it's worth it, and I'll be here every step of the way to guide you. So subscribe now, and let's rise together.